Yo, what is up guys, Russ here coming at you with another video, and today I'm bringing you a plus 21 Spires of Ascension. Today from Outlaw POV. I prefer Outlaw in this key for some reason. I just like having the CC, I guess. So I'm going to be taking you through kind of like my thought process. I'm going to be telling you kind of like what I'm saving my cooldowns for, how I'm thinking ahead, what I'm going to be kicking, what I'm going to be gouging, what I'm going to be kidney shotting, blinding, all that good CC and utility that Outlaw can bring. Get you inside my head and hopefully shine a light on a couple of the tips and tricks and things that I don't think that everybody thinks about when they're in this dungeon. So kind of take you through like a little guide, but at the same time rogue specific, right? If you haven't watched any of my other commentaries, then there's a playlist with them as well if you'd like to see them. But yeah, I'm going to put my gear and talents on the screen for you now before I get into the key. But I just want to quickly shout out my Twitch channel. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, firstly, leave a like on the video. Secondly, actually do that regardless. Secondly, it's twitch.tv/JustRuss. If you want to see me do these live or ask me any questions or any other kind of shenanigans, I'm live quite often over there. But yeah, without further ado, I'll get on with the key and I'll see you on the flip flop and enjoy it. And yeah, I'll leave you with voiceover Russ instead of live Russ. Okay, so enjoy. So as we start this key off now, what we're going to be doing is our paladin's going to be running it down straight through the middle. We're going to be pulling these 2 packs at the start along with the Goliath, and we're going to be bloodlusting to try and nuke all of this down as quickly as we can. Now, one thing to note also is running a chamois here is obviously really good. First, you get the bloodlust. Secondly, he's going to be responsible for kicking one Goliath or the Goliath at all times. So every time we have one Goliath, he's going to be on it. Every time we have 2, he's going to be soloing one of them, right? This is one of the harder packs on Fortified. You just kind of got to live through it and kick and CC as much as you can. If these casts go through, sometimes they can take people out, as you see our warrior going down there. But in general, I'm saving my actual kick for like the Castigator's Burden casts, or one of those more powerful casts that these mobs do. You want to be kicking like, they can spam Dark Lash, but they can't spam like Burden. So you want to be like locking them down with gouges and kidney shots and blinds and things through the Dark Lashes, but you kind of want to save your kick for the actual Burden of Truth, I think it's called, cast. And also one thing you can do, Burden of Knowledge is called. One thing you can do, you see the Mender is going to do like an empowered weapon on himself. He's got the buff up now, but I don't have my Blood Elf. Oh, I do have my Blood Elf thing. I guess I just didn't take note of it here. So if you're playing a rogue, or if you have like someone who can dispel magic, like a priest or a chamois with a purge or something like that, you can get them to be on the Mender here. And if they purge that magic debuff, they're going to drop their weapon on the ground. It just looks like a kind of black sparkling mace. It'll fly somewhere onto the ground, and you can pick that one up. And just it will just apply on your auto attacks some extra damage to whichever mob you're attacking. I'm not sure if it cleaves. I don't think it does, but I think it does scale with like the extra damage from Celerity with Adrenaline Rush. So this key, I'm running Celerity Legendary on my ring, so that's obviously giving me just like a flat damage steroid, right? Like with everything I do. So if you can snag that weapon off the ground, then that's not too much off your back, because you can just kind of like walk over there with your acrobatic strikes and increase range and pick that up. Now this next pull, pretty much the same thing again. Gonna have our chamois soloing the Goliath. I'm on the Mender here, so there it's called the Imbue weapon. There's my Blood Elf thing. I'm going to pick up the mace now. There you go. And it just kind of like does a big amount of damage on whatever you're hitting, really. And then as soon as this Mender goes down, I'm going to be switching to a Castigator. And I'm probably going to, there you go, there's a kidney shot going down, and I'm probably just going to gouge and maybe kick on an important cast here. But none of this trash is too hard. Once you have, there you go, I got my gouge off. None of this trash is too hard. It's kind of like, the thing with this dungeon is a lot of the same trash over and over, but it's just kind of combined with different amounts of mobs and kind of bit differently, right? So it's the same mobs with the same skill sets cropping up again and again. So once you learn kind of like what they're doing and what to look out for, you should be okay in here. Now, this guy, not really too much to talk about with him. So I'll just let it play real fast while I say that you just really want to be interrupting the Inferno and having some kind of kick order for that. And we'll see if I use my Adrenaline Rush here or if I save it for the boss. Depends on his HP probably. I think I'll use it here. Yeah, I did. So it was pretty wise of me to use my Adrenaline Rush just there. I will pretty much always take Raging Battle Axe off that guy, and I'll usually take the Dagger of Necrotic Wounding off the Executor dude. But yeah, as you can see, like my Adrenaline Rush almost came fully back up before the boss, so we can pop it again and again and again. You pretty much never want to be saving your cooldowns. The only time I would ever really save an Adrenaline Rush on like almost anything would be if like the mobs are below 20-30% HP or something. Now on this boss, all you really want to be doing is sitting on the ad, the little Dragonhawk looking guy, and you just need to really, 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 really keep your eyes peeled because it turns quite sporadically. Sometimes it turns between casts, sometimes it casts all 3 barrages in the same direction before he moves. So just really, really look at the guy. Like, you really don't need to look at the boss at all. You just want to be like staying out of the little link between them and always keeping your eye on to the Azulis guy. I'm pretty much blade flurrying anytime the boss is down from the sky. Obviously, like the tank's going to try and keep the boss on top of the ad. And they do have a shared health pool, so it's just extra cleave. Obviously, some classes cleave better than others, like our Arms Warrior is kind of popping off here because of sweeping strikes and things. But yeah, pretty simple boss. Just try and move to the side when she targets you with the spear, when she's in the flying phase. But yeah, this one's pretty much rinse and repeat. Just really, really, really be careful for the frontal cone. It's going to fire like 3 slightly different directions of those black things. And on Tyrannical, that is a straight one shot. So now we're going over to this pillar thing. Our tank's going to pull both packs here. I would pull the far pack first. I'd pull the far pack of skirmishers first personally, but he decides to go the other way around. Then we're line of sighting, so it all stacks up here. And then I believe that we should hopefully have some big cooldowns here. Sadly, those skirmishers got battered away there, I think. I don't know if that was some kind of interaction with the elemental or not. But you want them all stacked up and you want to blow all your cooldowns as much as you can. So you can see a Warlock and Warrior popping off. I'm kind of there, in spirit, doing my thing. My Adrenaline Rush has at least come up now. You want to try and kick the little bird guys if you can. And maybe like chuck a kidney shot or something on a skirmisher because... a gouge isn't going to do too much there. They target random people and throw the lances at them with the haul. But if you're getting low, you might want to kind of like evasion on this pack or something. I believe that it's physical damage, and you can I think you can dodge their spears. So try and face them, and if you're getting low, just pop your evasion. Maybe pop a Crimson Vial or something. And if you get really, really low and you feel like you're going to die, it's always worth just kind of like popping your head behind the wall real quick. Here I'm applying my Crippling Poison for this next pack. Really, really important, because if you have no kind of like class with a perma-slow, like a Frost Mage or something like that, I always switch to Crippling Poison for this pack, because the tank is almost definitely going to want to kite these dogs. Don't know what they are. Cats, I guess. So I always switch to Crippling Poison for this pack, pretty much regardless. Just remember to switch back afterwards, because the Wounding Poison, the other one, I think it's called Wounding Poison, is going to slow the cast speed. Sorry, Mind Numbing Poison is going to slow the cast speed of other mobs. So that one's overall more useful. But Crippling for the packs where you actually need to kite stuff is really, really good. So once you get to about half HP, you can see the tank is going over to pull in the bird mob. He's basically just going to kite them in a circle around this mob so that we can cleave as much as we can. And every time that bird mob does switch position, because he will try and fly over to other parts of the room, we're just going to basically follow the pack onto him. I should probably be focusing the Praetor here, but I just wanted to get the cats down so that the tank could kind of like ease up a little bit. As you can see, our HP was getting a little bit low there. So it's just as well that all the cats kind of went down at the same time there. But this mob is pretty easy to finish off. It's actually a bit of a time sink, I guess, because you never really want to be pulling stuff by itself. So you can see on the damage meter here that, I'm a little bit behind right now. But as you'll see as we go through the dungeon, I actually catch back up off the bosses, especially when I get the Dagger of Necrotic Wounding from the Executioner, the Torghast powers, the Anima powers. That one is really, 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 really insane on Outlaw, and it like completely pulls your head on boss damage. It's absolutely crazy. I think it's just scaling with like attack speed and celerity and everything like that. So it's a really, really nice one. I always pick that one up on Outlaw. I actually just always pick it up in general. It's just such a good single target increase. It's especially good on Tyrannical, but I find that it's just good overall. Like sometimes, it's been like 17% of my overall damage in the dungeon or something. And this next pack now, we're going to have our Chamois. I'm assuming on blue, soloing blue. And then I think me and the paladin are gonna alternate, or me and everyone else are gonna alternate on star. Maybe the paladin's backing up on blue, with the chamois main interrupt. And we got 3 other interrupts for the star here, right? We just want to tank these 2 Goliaths on top of the Praetor. I try not to focus them. Usually I try not to focus them too much in the shield because essentially it's kind of wasted damage, I guess. Although I think they get less energy back, so it doesn't really matter what you hit. Just try and get them all down at the same time, because again, you don't want to be hitting one mob where like by itself, right? I would assume that we would probably pull any remaining mobs. Like if the Praetor's down, we could probably pull the Goliaths into the next pack, which is just going to be the pack of like 5 birds. And on that pack, you want to be, again, like looking to kick something, just get your kick on cooldown, like get it on something. And you can see the gateway goes down there. So we're going to be pulling, no, we're not going to be pulling this in. But yeah, you want to kick something and you just want to like chuck maybe like 1 kidney down. But I wouldn't use too many gouges and things. Maybe if people are like getting quite low, you might want to gouge one of these bird guys, but I don't think it's too important. It's just like what, 4 birds and a Praetor. If the tank's going low, maybe. But yeah, just want to get a kick on something and you should be good, because they will die quite quick. Usually people have cooldowns ready for this pack. Paladin's doing nutty damage right now, so pretty self-explanatory. As I said, like it's like the same mobs cropping up again and again, just in different combinations. So this one's like 4 birds and a Praetor, then we have like a Praetor, a Mender, and a Skirmisher, and then it's like a Goliath and a Praetor and a Castigator, and then 5 birds and things like that. And just remember that if you're playing Kyrian, there's a spear just here in front of where I am now. If you're the only Kyrian in the group, which I usually am not, to be honest. Usually like a paladin or something is, or like a resto chamois or something. But you want to be picking up the spear, and it will be your responsibility to just use the extra action button and throw it on the ground on some kind of big pull wherever it's necessary. So usually you use 1 at the last mob before the last boss, and use 1 at the top of this staircase here. Might be where we use it. If you don't use it at the top of this staircase, usually use it on the pack just before the second boss. So again, looking for the spell cast on the Mender. I've picked up the mace there, and now I'm pushing my damage into the champion. But yeah, as you can see, same mobs repeatedly. So I'll just let this pack go on. And one thing you can do on this pack is chuck a kidney shot or something on the Skirmisher, just because it's the only untankable mob of that pack. It's like the only one that's going to target random people and throw spears. So here we're kind of waiting for the packs to stack up, I think, so that we can use the spear on everything at once. So these ones are like 2 patrols, slightly desynced, right? So I kick the Skirmisher or the Inquisitor here to bring it into the spear so it doesn't get stunned. And I'm just going to be sitting on him and hoping that something goes down. Usually I try and get, you want like the bird dudes, ether divers, I think they're called. You want those guys to be very low or dead by the time that the spear expires. The spear is only like a 5 or 6 second AoE stun, I believe. You want to get the birds down because they do like a chain lightning. So you want to try and get as many of those down as you can. And after that, we're just making sure our chamois is kicking the Goliath. And then I'm just like kicking CC and gouging like whatever I really can. If I think the tank is low HP, I might gouge the Praetor or kidney the Praetor. If I think that like someone in the party's low, I might maybe gouge a Dark Lash, because sometimes the Dark Lashes can be targeted on your party mates, not just the tank. And obviously you need to make sure someone's covering the Goliath, because if a Goliath cast goes off during that pull, that is really, really bad news, especially on Fortified. So now in this pack, you pretty much always want to be focusing the squad leader. It feels pretty terrible because all the other mobs surrounding it don't really take much damage. But if you're focusing anything else but the squad leader, you know, like you're gonna be, I think they have like a 75 damage reduction aura or something. So always make sure you're on the squad leader. Not too much else to note for these mobs, but just dodge the little kind of like, they lift up in the air and they charge down at a location. It puts a nice big swirly on the ground, and then afterwards they go, there's like a frontal line thing. I don't know if it's a cone or if it's like a line, but just make sure that you're well out of the way of that. It usually does it after the cast where it like lifts itself in the air. So just make sure that as soon as you see it like change position, it's probably going to do the frontal soon. So just make sure you're not getting caught in front of that. This is probably the last hard pack in the dungeon, I'd say. As long as you're good on time. This is like pretty much where you decide. You know, this pack will decide if we're now like good to finish the key in time or not. What you can do if you've got a lot of time is CC this pack. Like you can chuck a hex on something. You saw that I tried to blind the Praetor there, but it got broken. You can't really sap because they have a stealth detection, but you can probably like shadow step sap, or you can maybe like grappling hook sap something, and then like blind another thing if you really need the CC. But you want to be focusing the squad leader. So this is like the hard part about this pack, because you kind of have to focus the squad leader because you can't really damage anything else, so you can't really nuke anything down. But you do want to be kicking off targets like the Inquisitor and maybe the Mender. I think there's a Mender in this pack. You want to be kicking, you know, something. I think there's an Ether Diver on the other side as well. But yeah, you want to be kicking anything that you really can, and focusing the squad leader. And as soon as the squad leader goes down, then you can just start like blowing everything else up. Quite a difficult, tricky pack. So if you're ahead of time, just CC. And take it safe, especially on fortified, because this is kind of like the make or break, like the last point in the dungeon where you can maybe like throw the key. I'd say I've seen keys throw here, so I would recommend if you're ahead of time, just play it safe. Like don't go for the 2 chests or something, just play it safe. And then this boss, obviously pretty easy. Like I can't think of a hard pack after this now. It's pretty like self-explanatory after this pack. This is like, you know, you just don't want people dying on this boss. What I generally like my tanks to do is kind of like tank it at one side of the room, jumps away. Obviously, again, keep your eyes really peeled for the for the black like arrows that these things are going to shoot out. So I'm pretty much always just like stand behind the boss, so that I don't have to worry about the frontal cone that he does, like the blinding flash. And then I'm literally just, my eyes right now are just focusing on that black cloud over there. And then as soon as the second dash goes and it spawns the second black cloud, you just sprint like across the other side of the room. And again, like I might be hitting the boss, and like I'm not really worrying about my damage too much on this boss because I'm just fully focusing on not getting hit. Obviously, I could probably survive a hit. I have my cheat death up. It's not tyrannical, things like that. But might as well practice for tyrannical, right? So I'm kind of like full focus on the arrows, just trying to like look where they're going to be firing and focusing on those. And like my damage to the boss is kind of secondary here. Obviously, if you can do both at once, then good for you. You're an absolute god. You know, you can do like, I'm not saying I'm doing a bad rotation. Obviously, like my damage is not pathetic, right? But you do want to just be like extra careful. There you go. Like I tried to grappling hook there and I got caught by one. So, and I got caught by another one there. But I did roll a 5 buff, so that's pretty worth, right? But yeah, I would say that you want to be like extra careful. So that was obviously a fuck up of mine. So might as well put a highlight, you know, might as well shine a light on my mistakes as well so that you guys don't have to make them. But yeah, like rotation should come secondary to this. Obviously, I was a bit greedy with my movement there, trying to get across. And that was because I was trying to do damage, maybe because I was trying to make up for damage I thought I was lacking or something. But you can see my damage is pretty good for the bosses. And like, this is kind of the downside of Affliction Warlocks. Like, they absolutely destroy trash, and I definitely am glad that we have one, especially for Fortified, because it made some of these pulls, like, very much easier, right, with all the big AoE. But their boss damage is not too crazy, and I don't think he... Did he die in that pull? I'm actually not sure, because we have a death. But oh, no, that was the war at the very start. So, yeah, he didn't die or anything like that. Obviously, it's not the best boss for range, because you got to, like, leg it across the room, but... the boss damage on the Warlock is... not too crazy. So there's another spear. If you're Kyrian on the right side of the staircase, if you can just see it on the right side of my screen there. I think in party chat as we were flying over there, we were talking about like taking both the Executioner guy and this Hellion together. It's going to be a lot of damage. I'm not really sure what does the damage in this pack. Obviously the Executor guy, you need to be looking out for his charge after the Fear. So it's going to be Tank Slash, then Fear, which you need to stack up with a body for. And then he's going to choose someone to target and charge, right? Obviously, you can evasion this. It's on me, so I'm going to evasion this. There you go. I avoided the dot and the damage. The warrior has died by the sword, so that's all good. But like something is just doing incredible amounts of damage to us here, and I don't think it's... Like, it could be the Fear from the Executioner guy, or maybe the Hellion is doing something like a ticking aura or something. But like you can see us going very fucking low there. So if you do want to help out your healer, that was really close. I don't think we could have survived another one of those actually. If you do want to help out your healer, try and feint the Wave of Terror, the Fear on the Executioner guy. that's something that I didn't do, which I guess I've just learned now from watching back. So there you go. There's a tip from me, kind of like in the moment. Luckily we got Hellstones as well. I've chugged the Hellstone, I've chugged the Kyrian part. Like this pack is pretty difficult. So again, if you're not pushed for time, like we were not pushed for time at all. Like we had like what, like 19 minutes when we did this pull. That is way more than enough to finish out this dungeon, especially as like there's almost no trash left. It's pretty much like just bosses, right? Like we've got these hurler packs up here, and then we've got the 3 dudes at the top before the last boss, right? There's not too much trash. So here you want to be sapping the warden on the right side, just so your party can get across. We have the gateway, which is nice. Then you need to choose, are you going to do this Tormentor, Sogdon here in this case, or are you just going to run through? So I just put my Shroud up and kind of like ran on through. I think I went down here. Something took me out of stealth, and then like the hurls went on me. I don't know how I got pulled out of stealth there. But the hurls went on me, so I was down for this boss, sadly, this pack, sadly. But as you can, like, usually what people usually would have done is just like mount up and then you shroud them through, right? And then you pull them behind the pillar, and then you just like maybe chuck a kidney on one of them while you AoE the rest. And then depending on your party's cooldowns, usually you will decide you do the boss now or do you do the other pack now. If you have things ready, then you'll probably just go boss, and then you'll kill the other pack while the angels are coming down after the boss. Or you can just go to the other boss. Most groups just go straight to do like both trash packs in a row, but if you need to do the boss, then you can do that. And on the boss, I always use my Adrenaline Rush. I won't Adrenaline Rush this pack because they die so quickly and it's kind of a non-pack in my eyes. So I can Adrenaline Rush on the pull, and you should have it back up for the, the phase when it powers down and the tank has to go soak the blobs. And you do like 100% extra damage, right? So you can kind of like, I would hold my Adrenaline Rush because the way this boss works is we're gonna be stacking up for like the artillery, and then it's gonna move, and then we're gonna do another artillery, and then it's gonna move, and it's gonna power down, and it's gonna suck the balls in, right? And that's the damage increase phase. So like if we've already moved once, or we're about to move for the second time or something, I would probably hold my Adrenaline Rush for the extra damage. But I might not even do that. It depends really like how much HP the boss has got. It's kind of a judgment call at that point. Like, do you think you're going to get an extra Adrenaline Rush in this fight if you use it on cooldown, And you can feint these Purifying Blasts as well. So really important on Tyrannical because he's very much hurt. They do a big AoE around you. It's quite a lot of single target damage, but you can feint it to lessen that. And then it does like a dot on you after that. So I didn't quite have my feint back up because I got 2 in a row there. So I'm going to be stacking up for the artillery and trying to move the boss in a line. I got stomped there, so that was really bad of me. You should not follow the tank. You should not stand on the tank while you're moving, like ever with this boss. So, you have like time to move, but you should not be standing on the tank there. I usually save my cloak in case I need to help with the ball soaks here, like in case the tank's taking a lot of DPS or a lot of damage. Like you can see he bobbled here. I could take like some of these balls myself, but probably not all of them. Plus, like if I have to take balls and I have to go off the boss, then that's less damage. But like you can see, I'm kind of pumping now that I've got my Dagger of Necrotic Wounding, my Anima Power, right? So I'll probably use my next. Watching this back, I think I'll use my next Adrenaline Rush on cooldown, because it takes ages to get to like the second DPS phase. Like you can see here, we get the artillery come down, and then he's gonna move, and then another artillery comes down, and like slightly different to the first set, it then does like, you see his energy bar that determines when he powers down, right? So he'll only do 2 artilleries, and then he'll just wait until his power is fully depleted before he does like the DPS increase phase. And it's only taking 5 energy off him every time he does a Purifying Blast. So as you'll see here, like after the artillery, he's at 35 energy. So that makes, or 30 energy, sorry. So that makes like 6 more Purifying Blasts until he's going to power down. So you can kind of use that as like a rough timer. You can see how often these Purifying Blasts come out. And you can kind of like gauge like how soon is it going to be until the DPS phase. And obviously the boss's HP was pretty low, so I just popped my Adrenaline Rush on cooldown. But I would pretty much do that anyway, because this phase does take ages. It takes quite a long time to put the 6 Purifying Blasts out, because the healer has to kind of like keep up with it, right? Like, it is a lot of healing. So the game is being fair there to the healer by letting it kind of like have time to heal up and stuff. So you can see my boss damage there was pretty insane, and I'm actually catching back up now on the overall, because the AoE has finished, like the mass AoE is finished, and I'm kind of like the single target damage now, which is kind of crazy considering like last season Outlaw didn't feel very strong in the single target department. Now it's like very incredible because Ghostly Strike is kind of pumping. Celerity is obviously just scaling with everything. That's why it's such a good legendary, because you never like, it's never wasted, right? Like you always get use out of Celerity. It's buffing everything all the time whenever you get proc. So now we just got 3 single target mobs, the last one of which we're going to spear, and then we're just going to be popping the boss. And the last boss just takes ages, especially as we left Sogdon alive. So actually no, yeah, we left Sogdon alive, so the tank's going to have to deal with taking 50% increased physical damage, which is kind of like, you know, he decided that as we went through the key. We were like, do you want to take him or not? He was like, nah, I think I can handle it. So we let him, you know, we skipped Sogdon so that he has to deal with a bit extra damage in this phase, or in this boss. What I don't like doing is leaving the cold dude up for this boss, because it just makes it so slow. Like everyone's getting slowed all the time, even in the intermission, and it's really annoying for like moving out the way of the charge, and then you got to get back to the little bubble at the Archon to survive the blast. It's just really annoying. But sometimes your groups will skip the cold guy if the order is switched around and he's where Sogdon was. So just be aware of that, and in that case you do need to be a little bit more cautious with like your hook shots or your like sprints and things like that, and maybe even your cloak or your vanish, because you can use your vanish to kind of like get rid of a slow effect or a root effect on you, right? So just think about that kind of stuff when you do leave the cold heart guy up. Yeah, not too much to say on this trash. The only real thing to note really is to just look where the spears are being thrown on the ground. Obviously, don't stand in front of the mobs because they will get a frontal cone from the first guy. We chose to bloodlust this Klotos guy because he's pretty dangerous. Like if you don't have a lot of healing cooldowns, you can't really sustain combat with him for too long. You got to dodge. He does a little lift up thing where he charges at people, and then there's also going to be spears going off on the ground. They will just repeatedly fire like little dark lines in like an X shape. You need to like look where they're firing, and just remember it doesn't rotate or anything. So just remember where the lines fired, and look for a kind of safe spot. And then he'll make a new spear, and then that one will fire X's. So you just got to be like looking for where the safe spots kind of continue to go, right? And then we're on to the last boss, which is I can probably just fast forward it because it's kind of like the same thing repeatedly. There's not really too much to talk about. Just dodge the charge. It's gonna choose someone and do a charge at them. If you can, try and bait it into the wall, and your melee DPS will thank you. And obviously you count there too. I don't really do that too often because like usually I'm standing behind the boss, so I don't really bait the charge too often. But if you're like a triple melee comp or something, it probably does pay off to bait the charge into the wall, right? So yeah, you want to dodge that run through. And then never get too far away from the blue bubble that's on the ground, right? Because it's just going to do the blast. And you can feint this if your healer's struggling a bit. And if you ever do get caught outside when the blast is going off, you can cloak it. But I don't think that you'll be able to survive like just a straight hit. Especially non-tyrannical. But I don't think even on fortified, I think it's meant to be a one-shot mechanic. So just stay close to the blue bubble if you can. I know we do have the cold dude. Yeah, we did leave the cold guy up as well at the second boss. So yeah, we have like the tank taking 50% extra damage, and we have the cold debuff. So don't ignore everything I said. You can now see it in action. Like it's just really, really annoying with the cold guy up. So you can obviously choose to eliminate one or both of those. Obviously we have 7 minutes here, so we're pretty good on time. We're actually pretty even like close to a 2 chest on this one, but I think it was probably like, I don't know, we were lacking a bit of like boss damage from the others on the bosses, and a little bit of my damage on the trash, I think. But I think like Outlaw is like very consistent, but it's not got that burst AoE like a lot of classes do on Trash, so it can't really keep up. But let me know how you guys are doing with like Outlaw and Trash and things. I like playing both specs, Outlaw and Sub right now. I kind of switch between them. I've got double Edge of Night Savannah staggers for Sub and stuff. I haven't done some Assassination in a while actually, so I'll probably come in with like a Mimi Assassination commentary at some point. Just to like switch it up and give the Assassination players like give them a time to shine as well, you know. So I need to like get used to it again because I haven't played it in quite a couple months now. So but yeah, this boss is more in the same. Just make sure in the intermission phase, what I usually do is just grappling hook over to one of the blobs. I just look where everyone else is running, and I'm just kind of like waiting at the back, seeing where people commit to, and then I just go to wherever is remaining, you know, like wherever someone didn't go. But yeah, this boss is just like a big target dummy, very, very slow, very annoying. So yeah, pretty nice Spires key. As you can see, the overall damage actually came out a lot closer than it was looking for the majority of that dungeon. Warriors going hard, 9.9, having a good mix of Trash and boss damage. Like he kept pretty close to me on the bosses, especially, you know, once we had our anima powers and things. Warlock fell a bit behind there, but he carried the Trash, I'd say, and I was just kind of mediocre at everything. Well, I guess I was decent on bosses, right? So, but yeah, quite nice. A fun key. I do always enjoy Spires, and I do think that it's one of those keys that you should play Outlaw for, just because you get the gouge and you get the extra CC and things like that. But definitely can be played with Sub as well. So I'd say like can be played with either, but I just prefer like being there to pick up the slack with like extra CCs and things like that, compared to with Sub on this key. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Like I said at the start of the video, feel free to head over to the Twitch channel. That is twitch.tv/JustRuss. I'll put a link for you on the screen now, and down below you can ask me any questions there. I got a channel update coming out soon, with kind of like where I'm going to take the channel from, like what direction I'm going to take the channel from here, including like branching out from just rogue specific stuff to general WoW, become a better player stuff, like same kind of thing, like get inside my head and how I think, and also kind of like stuff that's factually correct, and then my opinions as well, and maybe I'll even post some like funny vids and stuff, but that'll come in the very near future. A little update for you guys. So if you've made it this far in the video, I really, really appreciate you watching all the way. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll leave you there for now. And until next time, guys, peace.